Welcome back to Club Star Wars. Yes, another article, and this one it's from Showbiz Cheat Sheet. An Obi Wan Kenobi movie was going to happen, but Solo, a Star Wars story's lack of success stopped it. So here we go, and this is Alani Vargas on April 29th, 2021. So it's no secret that Obi Wan Kenobi, the Disney Plus series, is one of the most highly anticipated Star Wars projects that Lucasfilm and Disney are currently working on. It's bringing back Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in all their prequel glory, and with the tech and storytelling of The Mandalorian there to back it up, it's surely going to be exciting. But as it turns out, fans were actually kind of close to getting an Obi Wan Kenobi movie instead of this Disney Plus series. An Obi Wan Kenobi movie was supposed to happen instead of this series, but the lack of success for Solo changed that. In a new interview with a Hollywood Reporter on April the 28th, McGregor shared a lot of fun tidbits about getting back into playing the iconic Jedi Knight. The series takes place about 10 years after Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Kenobi is still on Tatooine, dealing with the trauma and fallout of the Jedi Purge and Anakin's turn. But as you probably could have imagined, this project has been in development for years. So long, in fact, that it's been in motion for 7 years. According to the Hollywood Reporter. However, they reported that Solo, a Star Wars story, which came out in 2018, underperformed and caused Disney and Lucasfilm to focus more on streaming. They ultimately redirected their plans away from an Obi Wan Kenobi film and onto a limited series, which is what fans are getting. Solo, a Star Wars story underperformed, but you've got to remember the movie that came before Solo, a Star Wars story was Last Jedi, and I believe that particular movie, The Last Jedi, pushed a lot of fans away. They weren't interested in Star Wars after that. They were so disappointed, me included, to be honest with you, that nobody turned up for Solo, Star Wars. I mean, you've heard all these excuses about why it didn't do as well, whether it was only 6 months after the last one, it was in the middle of summer, it wasn't a Christmas release, the promotion for it wasn't there, all this sort of stuff. But I think that's bogus. It's Star Wars. People would have been turning up in the droves if they weren't so disappointed with The Last Jedi. I truly believe that. What do you think? Do you agree with me or not? I'll be keen to hear your views on that. But anyway, so here we go. It's been a long and winding road to get here, and it's been a hard one for McGregor to keep quiet about at times. He said, I'd see stuff on social media like, they better cast Ewan as Obi-Wan, and I wasn't able to say anything, he said, but it was pretty humiliating to think that Disney might be thinking about casting someone else. It's no secret that Star Wars prequel films that McGregor was part of weren't very well received back when they first came out, at least not critically and by some very outspoken fans. But the tides have changed, and The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith all have die-hard fans now. I mean, when The Phantom Menace came out, I loved it. I know not everybody agrees with that, and that's fine. But I remember seeing the criticism was mainly from the media back then, not so much the fans, but yeah. McGregor spoke about the way the filming those three movies changed from when the first one came out in '99 until the last one in 2005. George Lucas loves technology and loves pushing that into that realm, McGregor said, explaining how Lucas pivoted away from the real sets and onto the green screen effects. He wanted more and more control over what we see in the background. With that need for more digital backdrops, the Hollywood Reporter wrote that by Revenge of the Sith, it was nearly all blue screen backgrounds and very little on-site location filming. After 3 or 4 months of that, it just gets really tedious, especially when the scenes are, I don't want to be rude, but it's not Shakespeare. McGregor said. Well, I'm kind of glad it's not Shakespeare, because I find Shakespeare boring. I mean, I really respect Shakespeare and what he's done for the English language and storytelling in general. But have you ever sat through a Shakespeare play? Not my cup of tea. I'm glad Star Wars isn't like Shakespeare, to be honest with you. But yeah, I kind of get what he's talking about. There's not something to dig into the whole dialogue that can satisfy you when there's no environment there. It was quite hard to do. Yeah, so he's talking about acting scenes when it's just barren blue screens, green screens, and what have you. And yeah, as an actor, that must be quite tricky. But yeah, it's not being Shakespeare. It's no big deal for me. But that experience is much different for McGregor and all involved this time around, thanks to the technology that was used with The Mandalorian. They project virtual backgrounds onto this massive LED screen. So if you're in a desert, you're standing in the middle of a desert, McGregor says. If you're in the snow, you're surrounded by snow. And if you're in the cockpit of a starfighter, you're in space. It's going to feel so much more real. While Obi Wan Kenobi, the series, is going to feel and look as real as any Star Wars project can get, that's exciting to hear, especially knowing that there are some pretty big lightsaber sequences on their way as well. Wow. At the beginning of the piece, the Hollywood Reporter wrote that the interview actually had to be postponed because McGregor received the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. And while the vaccine really kicked his ass, it's also impacted on some serious lightsaber training. For months we've been doing these monster 2.5-hour sessions of sword fights and hand-to-hand stuff, he said. Much hasn't been said about the series other than what is stated above. It takes place 10 years later, and that Kenobi is dealing with his trauma. But with such a long lightsaber training, McGregor's role is surely going to include lightsaber duels of epic proportions, with Christensen returning. Are we getting Mustafar 2.0? Time will tell. Time will tell. It's fairly interesting to think what they will do with the lightsaber battles. I mean, as far as we all were concerned, the last time they met was on Mustafar. So as long as they don't, ruin that sort of backstory too much and can make it work, fingers crossed, it'll work out well. So anyway, that's that, and so tell me what you guys think about that in the comments below if you would, and click the like button, subscribe, and I shall see you next time on Club Star Wars.